Hey guys, this is Ro again, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about RTPCs in Wwise and Unity. So RTPCs are real-time parameter controllers, and what they do is exactly what it says in the name. So they are controlling a parameter in real time depending on a variable. I'm going to use the same session that I used last time, the space shooter Unity tutorial, and the same Wwise space shooter session as well. I've already set up most of the stuff that I'm going to use so that we don't lose any more time. All right, so we've added our shots, our player shot and our enemy shot, and now we want the player to have a sound of its own. So I added this engine loop. All right, so I've added this engine loop and I've created an event for it, which is player engine. And I've added it to our player prefab here on the hierarchy folder in the Unity project. So let's test it out and see how this works. All right. I have my ship engine playing, it's shooting, and the enemies are shooting. Everything sounds good, all right? That's okay. All right, so, I mean, it sounds okay, but it's very repetitive, right? It's always sounding the same, always sounding very, very repetitive. So what we can do is to add a little bit of parameter change. And as you can see here by this blue icon, this means that the pitch parameter in my engine loop here in the default word unit is being RTPC'd. So the first thing that I'm going to do is go directly into my RTPCs and check it out that in fact there's this voice pitch. And at the same time, there's this parameter here called player tilt, which is a game sync called player tilt. It goes from 0 to 10, and the interpolation is filtering over time at a 0.1 attack rate and 0.2 release rates. This is my parameter that is changing my pitch value in the player engine underscore loop. So what is actually happening? So as the sound is playing, if I change the values, the pitch is either going up or going back to the default value that I've set. And this is very interesting because we can add this to the game when the player is moving with the spaceship. So let's go back to Unity and try to understand what's happening. First thing that we need to do is to understand how the player ship is being controlled via script. So as you can see here, this is the player controller script that we've set up in Unity, and the fixed update function here is where we get the movement of the ship. So we can see here all this stuff, which we don't need it right now. But one thing that we do need is that, for example, when the player is tilting, the ship is rotating in the z-axis. All right. So that is the part where we want to go, and I know that it's here on this line here. Get component rigid body rotation equal to quaternion.euler. This is Unity syntax that I'm not very comfortable about explaining. So I advise you to go and check out the tutorials. But what I want to know is this rotation, how much is the value so that I can change it back into Wwise and adapt my parameter into this value. So what I did was to get a a debug of this specific value. So if I save my my script and I play the game again, but this time I don't want the hazards and the enemies coming, so I just want to check out the values of the rotation. And I choose my console here. If everything goes well, the every time I rotate, yes, we can see the values. Every time that I rotate and every time that the ship is tilting, the value is being changed, and the maximum value is around, I would say, 10. So that is the reason why in my Wwise session, my parameter here in GameSyncs goes from 0 to 10. 0 being that the ship is not tilting and 10 being the max tilt. So I want to change the sound of the pitch of the engine with the tilt. So when the player is not tilting, when the player is just flying forward, it's not going to change the sound, right? Okay, so I have that here on the voice pitch. It's right there. But still, I need to assign this RTPC inside the script. So let's go back to our script here. And as you can see here, there are 2 commented lines here that I've already wrote. Let's comment them in again. And here it's a float x tilt equal to mathf.abs. This is getting the absolute value, because I know, and you can see here that I'm having negative values and I'm having positive values. So if I go to the left, it's going to be a negative value, and if I go to the right, it's going to be a positive value. So instead of in Wwise creating a range of -10 to 10, no, I just use from 0 to 10, and then I use the ABS function, mathf ABS function, to change back to a positive value. This way, here in this last commented line, we're using again the AK sound engine, but this time instead of post event like we used for the shooting, we're using set RTPC value. And this set RTPC value in this specific situation needs only the name of the parameter that we're choosing to change, player_tilt, and the variable with the value that we are changing. So this x tilt, which is the rotation, the absolute always positive rotation of our ship. So let's save this and let's check it out inside of our engine. So it's playing, but when I go right or when I go left, the pitch is changing according to the position of according to the rotation of our ship. So this is one way of using RTPCs. It's controlling in real time a parameter that you define by assigning it a variable that's being changed inside the engine. It's very useful for a lot of stuff, and in this situation it kind of like gives you the auditory feedback to the player that that his actions are having a reaction inside the game. So if he's pressing the key values A and D for left or right, the ship is responding the same way sonically. So that's one of the reasons why RTPCs are so useful for creating and designing our the sound in a video game. And yeah, so this is just a very, very general way of doing it. So I hope that you liked it. And as always, if you have any comments or feedback, please do leave them below. And thank you very much for watching. Have a good day.